Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'm excited to say that I got a real treat for you today. So as you've probably already guessed from the title of the video, this will be the first ever video in the Indie Game Spotlight series that I'm planning on producing. And the game I've chosen is CloudPunk. You're probably thinking, wait, aren't there devlogs that need to be done? Well, that's true, and I'm working on them. But you know what? It's not all about always about work with us. So let's get right into it. Alright, so CloudPunk. For you cyberpunk enthusiasts out there, to put it simply, this game is really something else. It's about a girl named Ranea and her AI companion who also happens to have been a dog at some point in time, but is now installed in her car. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that one either, but just bear with me here. She's forced to move into this big bad city called Nivalis, which is where this game is set. Well, why, you may be asking? Well, there are a bunch of big bad corporate companies, one of which, Corpsec, who have essentially caused many people, including Ranea, to have come into debt. Because of this, Ranea, who can be considered a country girl, from a place called the Eastern Peninsula, never having been in the city before, had to give up everything she owned, including her AI dog's original body, which is, I guess, why he's now in the shell of her car, and she had to with all of this, she had to move into this city and try to make an honest living. Well, let's just say it's not entirely honest work to begin with. The company she works for out in the city is known as CloudPunk, an illicit delivery service, where their motto is, don't ask what's in the package. And this is where things become interesting, as she, the protagonist, and you, the player, begin your interesting journey as you explore every inch of Nivalis in all its glory. So to begin with, you start off in a hover, which is your main source of transportation as you navigate through this open world megacity. The driving mechanics of the hover itself are actually way better than I thought they would be. The controls feel smooth and very fluid, which makes navigating through this absolutely stunning environment that much better. Now with these hovers themselves, they are customizable, and so you can just pop into a mechanic found anywhere on your map and actually get upgrades that really help with the maneuverability and also just the speed of the hover, which I found was the main issue for me. There are also cosmetic upgrades that you can get, like an old school antenna and all this kind of stuff. So I think that was a good touch that the developers added. And you'll also be happy to know that there's actually quite an assortment of different hovers that you can choose from, which I found really quite interesting because the standard hover just wasn't cutting it for me. Not only was the speed lacking, but just, it didn't look that great either. You're in a fast moving, huge city, you want a fast car that can get you from one place to the other, because that is actually the main premise of this game.
And it stops us just flying straight up.
And just to add about these other hover options that you have, I just want to say that I was really impressed with the designs of each individual hover. You can see that they're not derivative of each other, which indicates that the developers really thought about each and individual hover, which is something I thought was just a nice touch to the game. Now speaking of exploring these environments, I gotta say, the absolute vastness of just the map itself is insane. I mean, at first you seem kind of underwhelmed because you see a small map here, but in all honesty, the amount of districts that they've included in this game is absolutely phenomenal. And I truly mean that. It's something that you don't see a lot of developers do, but there's just a lot of detail in each of the different districts, to, I guess, to highlight the struggles that each district is facing, which I thought was amazing. And talking about this environment, I honestly have to say just how astonishingly well the developers have hit the mark on this one. Because this multi-level beast of a city is just phenomenal. And you can literally get lost in how amazing it all looks. I mean, the immersion factor when you go into first-person mode, which is an update that they've put on after launching this game. And it's just, these are the kind of things that really just add, I'd say, a ton of value to the game. Now moving on to the character design and the actual characters themselves, I have to say that I personally like the art style. but I'm not sure that everyone will. It's honestly something that I wasn't too concerned about when it came to the characters. Because honestly, when it does come to the characters, there's quite an interesting bunch of quirky NPCs that you will meet, which really liven up Nivalis for sure. And as Renea goes about her shift, you can count on the fact that she'll meet a bunch of shady characters with ties to CloudPunk. Plus, you also get to engage in some downright wacky conversations with NPCs should you decide to do the side quests like I did. And I highly recommend them. So to conclude, CloudPunk's best feature lies within its simplistic nature. At least that's what I think. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, from the simplistic art style for the environment and characters to the straightforward missions that do allow you to make choices every now and then with how you complete them. Although I feel this is more of an illusion of choice rather than these choices having an actual consequence. Now, this game is heavily story driven. It's an adventure exploration game with a very real emphasis on exploration. I mean, it doesn't even have a combat system. And I feel though, even though this kind of put me off initially, I thought this was the right choice as I played the game, as it makes you feel like more of an observer to the stories that this game has to tell. Some of which I can definitely say run parallel to what's going on in the real world, with one of the main themes being corporate greed and corruption. So is this the perfect game? Well, no. First of all, I'd like to talk about the characters a little bit more. So, as quirky and interesting as the characters may seem, I feel like that there's no real depth to any of these characters, and they seem a little bit generic to me, at least in my opinion. And now we'll get on to the actual environment itself. As beautiful as everything is, the problem with this is that the environment itself is not that engaging. I mean, there are a lot of things to collect, like punch cards for these certain missions, certain side missions, and things like that. I don't want to give it away too much, but there's not much else. Now, the quests, while as interesting as they may seem initially, they start to get repetitive, and I feel like this is probably one of the I'd say major downsides to this game because it is an amazing game, but the quests once they start to feel repetitive, they can feel more like a chore than anything else. And also, lastly, I'd like to go on to the customization. Like I said, the customization is limited, and I feel like there could be so many more things you could add, especially with this kind of art style to the hovers themselves. I mean, there are character customization features as well, but again, they're limited too. Overall, I feel that CloudPunk is a fun and entertaining game that you can pick up one evening and just relax and just enjoy the story and the world that it has to offer. Would I recommend this game? Yeah, if you're into the whole cyberpunk theme, and if you're looking for something just to tide you over till Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, then sure, go for it. All right, ladies and gents, this about concludes this whole review. And I gotta say, I had a lot of fun actually reviewing this game and just playing through it. So I think I might do another one. Yeah, tell me what you think. Tell me if you purchased this game. Tell me what you thought about it. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.